You might find that some of the work that you do doesn't neatly lend itself to being pinned down into tasks in your task list. Maybe you're a designer, a creative, a researcher, and the work that is exactly your most valuable work is really hard to put into tasks in your task manager. So does that mean that you should not use a task manager at all? Or is there something else that you should do? Let's talk about that today. Hey folks, my name is Peter Uckes, and I help people like you be more organized and more productive. And one way I do that is through teaching people how to use task managers. So you may want to check out my task management courses. I have one using the task manager OmniFocus, another one using the task manager Things 3, both of which are really excellent task managers and can help you, regardless of what your profession is and whatever we're going to talk about today, can help you feel more organized, more productive, more in control, less stressed. There's really a whole lot of benefits you get from using Task Manager, so go check out my courses. The link to those is in the description below the video. Today, I want to talk about doing the kinds of work that are hard to pin down in a task manager. Let's use a really extreme example. Let's say you're an artist, you're a painter. If you're going to be painting for a living, right? If that's the main kind of work that you do, how do you measure your productivity? Your output is number of paintings created and probably also some quality factor to that. So that's hard to pin down in your task manager. What are you going to do? You're going to open your task manager and create a project, say new project or new list or whatever, and then say, grab the canvas, prepare the brushes, prepare the paint the trees, paint the water, paint the mountains, paint the people. That doesn't make any sense. That's not how creative work goes. So that's a very extreme example, but this is one kind of work for which task managers are just not the right venue, not the right tool. Let's think of it as not the right tool. You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to grab your hammer and trying to get a screw into the wall with your hammer. This is not going to happen. So another example, let's say you're a developer. I get a lot of people that are software developers, or could be like a designer, but let's say like a software developer. And a lot of your most important, most valuable work, whether that's for your business or for your company, is the code that you produce, right? But not because of the code, but because it creates some result for someone. But creating those results by programming that code require you to be really focused for sustained periods of time. Again, you're not going to write down in your task manager, write function X, write function Y, You're going to do things at a much higher level. You're going to say, here's a new feature we want to build, and you're going to start working on it. And as you start working on it, you realize, oh, hey, here's a problem, here's some code I still need to write, here's a bug that needs fixing. And so there are small things that you want to keep track of in your task manager, but a lot of the hard work, we can use the phrase deep work, if you're familiar with that terminology from Cal Newport's book, which I've got right up here, by the way, Deep Work. Great book. A lot of that hard work, that deep work, is hard to pin down in your task manager. So does that mean that if you're someone who does that kind of deep work, that, whether that's creative work or it could be strategic thinking, if you're an executive, something like that, setting your business vision, does that mean you should not use a task manager? No, you should absolutely still use a task manager. You just have to use the right tool for the right job, okay? So for me, for example, I create podcast episodes these days. By the way, if you haven't checked out my podcast yet, just go over to whatever is your favorite podcast app and search for How They Get Stuff Done. That's my recently launched podcast. I talk to successful people and I ask them, how do you do what it is that you do? What are your productivity habits? So go listen to that. But so that's a creative thing that I do. And another thing is I create these YouTube videos right here. I also create online courses. Like I said, my course is on task management. So a lot of that work is creative. And there are things around it that really help me, to use the task manager. For example, when I'm recording a podcast interview with someone, so I'm interviewing them, I'll do a little research ahead of time. So I have a project, in fact, with a project template in my task manager. And it's like prepare for a podcast recording. So I do some background research on someone, I make sure that I'm all set up here. My mic is ready. My camera is ready because, we're not recording video, but we look at each other while we record. I make sure I grab my glass of tea and stuff. So my task manager is really nice as a checklist to make sure I'm ready. But when I'm spending that half an hour to an hour, maybe 45 minutes, something like that, doing background research on this person and coming up with conversation topics, coming up with things to ask, that's just like that, that's work that requires thinking. And it's hard for me to pin that down. I'm not going to say in my task manager, write down question 1 to ask them, write down question 2. No, it's just an hour that I need to sit there and be engaged and think and be creative. It's the same way when I'm mapping out a YouTube video to create, or when, I'm currently planning out a new online course. So when I'm working on the course outline, that's something that's creative work. And it's hard to pin down in the task manager. However, all the things around it, it's really helpful still to use your task manager, right? So all the things in your home life that need taken care of. Like today, I'm going to go clean the toilet. Okay, like that's something that I put in my task manager, you know what I'm saying? Just to remember it. I don't need my task manager to clean the toilet, but it's nice to set the intention that I'm going to do that today and to record that intention in my task manager. And so when there's deadlines, like I need to send a letter by a certain time, reply to whatever by a certain time, it's really helpful to have the task management for that. So if you're doing creative work, hard work, deep work, that requires sustained focus, you may not be able to use your task manager to actually help you do the work, but your task manager helps you do everything around it, set the foundation for it. So for example, in my business, sometimes I have a project that involves, setting up some new email marketing tool. And then I map out the project ahead of time. What's going to be step 1? What's going to be step 2, step 3, etc. And as I'm working through that project, all I'm doing is just like looking at my task manager. I'm like, oh yeah, now I have to do this. Now I have to do that. So for certain kinds of work, that's super helpful. And it really helps take a load off your shoulders as well. And it actually frees up space in your brain to do that hard work, to have that focus, to be creative. So when it comes to doing the actual creative work, the hard work, you just have to use different tools to make that happen for yourself. So that could be something like time blocking, which works for a lot of people, right? Where you say, I'm going to block 10 a.m. to noon, every day to do this hard work. Could be your programming work if you're a programmer, your design work if you're a designer, reading academic papers or writing up your own papers if you're a researcher, something like that. So time blocking could be a good solution for that. And then you got to think about all the things around it, making sure that your devices are set to do not disturb, you're not checking your email, you're not checking your messages. Maybe if there are people physically near you, you ask them not to disturb you. And so now you've got to start thinking more about how do you create the conditions to focus on that work. And your task manager is just not the tool to use in the moment. Your task manager is a tool to manage some things in your life, but not everything. And I wanted to get this message out there today because I get more and more people, lately asking me, okay, you seem to use your task manager for everything, Peter. How do I use it for this? Not the case. Use your task manager when it is the right tool for the job. So I hope this was a helpful message for you. Again, check out my task management courses, because even if you do a lot of creative work, deep work, anything like that, having that foundation for the rest of your life, for all the admin around it, man, that can really give you so much comfort and so much mental space that you can then use to be productive. So go check those out. Those are over at peterruckis.net, or just, check out the link in the description below the video. Hope that was helpful. Have a lovely day.